I just had this moment, Mandy, where I felt, holy cow, we are about to take this to the next level. It's super exciting, but when you're at that moment when it gets real and when stuff's about to happen, the thing that I'm really thinking about is in order to seize the complete opportunity when the momentum starts to kick in, it's going to require you to change your habits. It is going to require something more of you. What it took for me to build a multi-million-dollar speaking business, that took a certain set of habits. What it's going to take for me to now successfully launch this show, continue the speaking business. We now have a publishing imprint. Yeah. We have a book that we're working on about kick-ass confidence and curing anxiety. I realized that I need to have a level of focus and a level of intentionality that I have not yet cultivated in my life. That there's still that I do, that I put in the way, that was fine when I was operating and achieving at this level, but now I want to go to this level. And so what are those things? Getting up earlier, being a complete hawk about how I'm spending my time and attention. That in the mornings when I'm with my family, literally being hyper-focused on just them so that I'm present with them. And then confession, I'll literally work for like 25 minutes and then the ADD kicks in and then I'll find myself folding laundry for 20 minutes because I allow myself to get distracted. And see, that's the thing about habits and the levels of success that you get to. That when you recognize that jumping to the next level that you want to get to is nothing more than just tweaking your habits a little bit, that it's really that simple, you will start to be able to have quantum leaps. And I'm realizing that I have amazing habits, but they have gotten me to here. And if I want to get to the next level, it's going to require a level of focus and intentionality that I haven't demanded of myself before. No drinking during the week. Being super, super focused on the stuff that's really important. Probably hiring somebody full-time to be a full-time assistant to help me stay organized and focused in terms of scheduling and weeding through all the incoming requests. I think it's just about that, about this sort of like maniacal focus on things that are important. Like now is the time. And what's cool is you can make it happen anytime in your life. Like if there's some jump that you want to make, look, I'm an extraordinarily productive person. I've accomplished a tremendous amount in the last 3 years. But what it's going to take for me to get to the next level and not destroy the people around me with my stress and be an amazing leader and be an amazing mother and be an awesome wife and actually be an incredible businesswoman is a level of focus that I have never required of myself. What's it going to require of you?
I would say that the biggest thing that moving to the West Coast and being 3 hours behind the entire team has already started to make me do the little things. Like sometimes you have to force in place. If you want to work out more, you need a gym buddy that's going to meet you there at 6:30 a.m. and you're going to let them down. That's kind of how I operate. I just need to be forced to make those changes, but definitely it's consistency for me because I notice when I do.
Well, what's the that you do?
Same exact things you do, literally. They are not waking up early enough, going to bed at the same time every single night, being mindful of what I'm putting into my body because that does affect how you operate. I mean, if you put a bunch of junk in, you're going to be slower, you're going to be like drinking is another one of those things. For me, it's overall health, just being mindful of how I'm treating myself so that I'm actually setting myself up for success and I can focus for that long. Because what
would be the next level of managing a team? Because you manage our team.
Yeah.
And we are a lean team. We're ridiculously efficient. Yeah. I mean, what we have going on in May is insane. We have a new course launching. We have, by the way, one of the busiest speaking schedules of professional speakers around. I mean, if you're at the top of your game, professional speaking wise, you're doing anywhere from 75 to 100 speeches a year. That's us. We have the 5-second journal that is back in stock. We have a new book that we're launching in the fall on anxiety and confidence. We have the show launching, a new website launching.
The team management for me. Team management is all about setting everyone up on Monday. So what we used to do is we used to have these big macro conversations. We would be like, okay, we have this big project and this big project and this big project. Everyone just kind of check in. And now we're starting to do micro Monday morning kickoffs. I think meetings are the reason why corporate America gets stuck. I don't believe in them. I think that when you need something to get done, you pick up the phone and you talk to the person that needs to get it done and then you collaborate where necessary. But on Monday mornings, an hour with each team and having everyone talk about what they're actually working on, making sure that we're on the same page is huge.
I have a question.
Yes.
We have decided because we own the company together, the Confidence Project, that we are taking our personal accountability to the next level, that we are demanding more of ourselves because we see the importance in weeding out the little bullshit that's there. And trust me, it's a little bit. I mean, when I look at how I've transformed myself over the last 3 years, I'm an extremely focused and accomplished and successful person. But there's still a little bit better that I can do. And doing a little bit better based on where I'm at is the secret to enjoying what we've created for ourselves.
Totally.
But here's the question. How do we also inspire and support that same level of intentionality bump in our team? Because we're the owners. You know, we know how to inspire people. We know how to make people know that they matter. But given that we're going to demand more of ourselves, what do we need to do in order to have our team feel that they need to do that for themselves too?
I've even noticed a shift in the team's productivity with just 2 weeks of Monday morning meetings where we talk about what are we going to accomplish this week. And for the 2 weeks that we've been doing that, I've felt the entire team elevate their own game even, just because we all know what we're working on. And when people know what and why, the intentionality automatically increases rather than, oh, I could do this. I mean, we're very lucky in that everyone on our team is really autonomous.
Well, then
and
maybe what we should do, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe what we should do is on next Monday's call, we do what we're going to do in this video, which is I want you to think about the areas of your life and your work where you're productive and you're in action. That's fantastic. Keep going. What's the BS?
The one or two things.
What are the one or two things that you need to change? Whether it's getting up a little bit earlier or like me, not drinking during the week.
I have one that I didn't say. I didn't have Wi-Fi on like a 5-hour flight the other day, and I actually got the project stuff done because I didn't have access to social media. I didn't have access to text message. I realized how much happier I felt by not mindlessly scrolling through social media and pretending I'm on a strategy hunt. And I got
What are you doing? What is the commitment? It's one thing to see the insight. What's the commitment? What are you changing? You are a lot younger than me, so you're socially native, but I do see you all day long working and checking social, checking social. What if you were to say, during this 3-hour period, every day, 12 to 3, I turn off social? Whatever, like you pick, that's the thing that's going to be hard, but what would it be for you? Because this is the thing. We can identify what we need to do, but unless you make it specific, you're not doing. So I don't drink Monday through Thursdays. Not going to do it because that's during the week. What I need to get up a half an hour earlier. So instead of 6:15, I need to get up at 5:45. Those two things will make a big difference because they will have a big effect on the rest of my day. What is it for you?
Get up at 6.
Okay.
Instead of 7. I would say no social from like 10:30 to 3:30 because that's
awesome.
That's hyper productivity mode for the whole team. Like everyone's on. I need to get way back into a workout routine that is essential not for my personal accountability, for mental health, for physical health, and it makes me, when I go to the gym, I'm like, I am unstoppable and I can do anything. So those are the 3 things that I could awesome. Tweak about what I'm doing right now.
Gotcha. Back to you. If you were to take your business or your life to the next level, what is 1 or 2 things that you need to remove? The BS that you do, the small tweak that you could make that would increase your focus on actually being able to work on the important stuff. I want you to put it in the comments below. Tell me and tag us. We're doing it. We're going to be documenting it and showing it to you in hopes that it inspires you and helps you make the changes that you need. When you take on a massive change, whether it's trying to diet after a lifetime of being overweight, or maybe running your first race after a lifetime of never ever exercising, or maybe it's starting to date again after you lost your spouse to cancer. When you confront something that's going to require you to change your behavior, you basically come face to face with the gap between who you are right now and the future person you want to be. And sometimes when you see how big that gap is, it sucks. It's overwhelming. The amount of work that it's going to take to close that gap between where you're at and what you dream about suddenly feels insurmountable. The reason why you feel vulnerable and you feel insecure is because you're starting to focus too much on how much you're going to have to do and that's overwhelming you. That's happened to me in my life. You know, what I come face to face with is this fear that I actually might suck, that I actually might not be able to do this. And when I start to convince myself that I'm not going to be able to close that gap between what I weigh now and what I really dream about looking and feeling like, then I start giving up. So you're gonna feel vulnerable. You're gonna feel insecure. And there are two things that I want you to do. I want you to narrow your focus down to the literally minute-to-minute decisions that you're making about your health. Don't think big picture. Get through today. Second thing I want you to do, I want you to use the 5-second rule. The way that you're going to use it is, if you have a diet, the diet is very straightforward. It's black and white. There's a list of things you're allowed to eat and a ton of things that you're not allowed to eat. So the diet itself is very straightforward and simple, but the reason why dieting isn't easy is because of how you feel about dieting. Dieting itself is simple. The reason why it's hard is because you listen to how you feel. I want you to go through an exercise where you write down all of the triggers that make you eat. Do you like to eat after you've had breakfast? Like you like a little snack on the way to work? Do you like to eat when you feel vulnerable? Do you like to eat at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? Do you like to eat when you feel bored? Do you like to eat when you're sitting in front of the TV? Do you like to eat after dinner? Do you sample everything off of your kids' plates if you've got kids? Like, identify all those areas where you fall into the trap of not following your diet. Now what I want you to do is to use a piece of research that has proven over and over and over again in an experiment after experiment after experiment that will make you 3 times more likely to stick to your diet. You ready? It's called if-then planning. So I had you make a list of all those places where you're probably gonna cheat, right? Where you start to feel a certain way, you feel defeated, you feel tired, you feel bored, you feel pissed off at your boss. You're not really thinking, so you're shoving food in your mouth. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that list of things that trigger you to cheat on your diet, and you're gonna use if-then planning. And how it works is this. You're gonna say, if I feel tired, then what are you gonna do? Because right now what you're doing is you're eating. If I feel tired, then I'm gonna stand up and go for a walk around the house. If I feel bored, then I'm going to stand up and walk into the kitchen and I'm gonna allow myself to surf online and check out Facebook for 5 minutes instead of eating. If I feel stressed out or I feel like I can't do it anymore, then I'm gonna call a friend. The reason why you want to do this is because, first of all, you've told the truth to yourself about all the ways that you cheat and all the things that trigger you to overeat and not stick to your diet. And secondly, you've stuck something in place that is your plan B so that you're not subject to your emotions in the moment. So, here we go. You're vulnerable because you're focused on the gap between where you are and the future you. So first things first, let's narrow the focus and let's focus day to day, moment to moment on what you're doing. Second, you're going to use the 5-second rule. The moment you feel yourself cheating on your diet or being drawn toward food you shouldn't be eating, count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That will quiet all of the garbage in your mind. It will awaken your prefrontal cortex and it will point you toward your goal, which is sticking to that damn diet. And finally, I want you to do an assessment and identify all the ways in which and things that trigger you to overeat and cheat on your diet. And then I want you to come up with an if-then. If I feel this, if I see this, if I catch myself doing this, then I'm gonna pick up the phone, or I'm gonna go for a walk, or I'm gonna surf Facebook. I'm gonna do something other than cheat on my diet. Try those things, let us know how it goes, and most of all, we want you to know we're really proud of you for taking it on, because it takes a lot of courage to face the things that aren't working in your life and to push yourself to change them. And so today we're going to focus on the components of a $1 million morning routine, and these are all based on research. And the thing I want you to think about is this. I really believe in something called behavioral activation therapy. And said very simply, behavioral activation therapy is the concept that if you want to change, if you want to be a better you, just start acting like the person that you want to be in the future right now in your day-to-day life. That the actions that you take today are what will turn you into the person that you want to become. And look, I know you have a vision for yourself. There is a version of you that you hold in your heart and in your mind that you see that is a better version of the person than you are right now. The you that has a better, more fulfilling job or career, the you that is truly enjoying a deeper connection in your relationship or marriage, the you that has better eating habits, better physical habits, the you that really is experiencing a better connection to the meaning and purpose in your life. That life that you envision, you're capable of achieving it. You can do the work to make that version of yourself a reality, but it's not going to happen out of thin air. You got to put in the work. And I personally believe that that work begins first thing in the morning. That every single morning you can wake up and experience a clean slate. You can wake up and you can create a morning routine. Not that the you right now likes, but the morning routine that the future you needs. And the bottom line is, whether you consider yourself to be a morning person or not, a morning routine is essential. A morning routine is like the first domino. Let's just agree that every single day of your life, you wake up and you have the opportunity to create a new experience in your life. And that first series of decisions that you make, which are basically your morning routine, it's like the beginning domino that falls. And if your morning routine sucks, like my morning routine used to suck, the first domino that falls in your day is procrastination, stress, anxiety, depression, suckiness. And that tends to trigger a whole lot more of that. Now, let's talk about the other option. Have you ever had a morning where you rolled out of bed because you had to be somewhere? You actually met a friend at the gym, and the exercise class was not only not that bad, it was kind of fun, and you felt really energized and proud of yourself for going? And you were set up for the meeting that you had, you were prepared. What's it like when that domino falls? It feels good, doesn't it? It makes you feel confident and alive and proud of yourself. It kind of creates this energy and this motion in your life. And that brings me to a simple statement. The solution to almost all the problems in your life is your morning routine. If you were to get serious about creating a morning routine that makes you feel like $1,000,000, that sets you up with the structure and momentum and positive choices that act like a domino, that send you into your day feeling like you have started the day off with a bang, checking the right boxes, getting it done, feeling proud, putting yourself first. Imagine how the rest of your day flows. You see, how you set your day up is how it ends up. Say it again. How you set your day up is how it ends up. And if you are serious about making more money or making change stick or getting things done or just feeling happier or finally learning how to put yourself on the list, let's get laser focused on your morning routine. Because when you get laser focused on your morning routine and setting yourself up for success from the get-go, it's pretty amazing what flows from there. And so before we get into the components of my $1,000,000 morning, I want to tell you about the old Mel. And for those of you that listened to the episode that we did about how to create an evening routine that truly sets you up for success in the morning, you have heard part of this, but the old Mel was a complete flipping disaster. I don't even recognize the sad sack of a human being that I used to be. I was addicted to my excuses. I was addicted to my alcohol at night. I was addicted to feeling miserable and to complaining about my problems. In fact, you want to know the first decision I made every single day for years, decades, in fact? The very first decision that the old Mel Robbins used to make, I'd hit the snooze button. Now let's just stop and unpack that, okay? You wake up, the alarm goes off, the sun is out, you have a brand new day in front of you. There are people around the world that died in the middle of their sleep last night. They didn't get another day. But you, my friend, you got another day. And instead of waking up, getting up, making the most of the next 24 hours of your life, you know what the old Mel Robbins used to do? Hitting the snooze button is procrastination in its biggest form. But you're not procrastinating on a paper. You're not procrastinating on a project. You're not procrastinating on a call or a chore. You're procrastinating on your fucking life. You're basically going, the first decision I'm going to make today in this miraculous thing called life is to not do it. I'm just going to avoid it altogether. I have the option to make the most of this time. I have the option to put myself first. I have the option to move my body, to practice mindfulness, to go outside and listen to the birds. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to procrastinate. I think I'm going to avoid it. I think I'm going to roll over. I think I'm going to just opt out. And for me, I can now see that since the first decision I made was to avoid doing what I needed to do, it's so fucking obvious why I was a chronic procrastinator, because I began every day like that. And as you hit the snooze button and you avoid facing your life and you avoid facing the day, you're not feeling confident. You're not feeling energized. You're not feeling in control and empowered. You are basically embodying your excuses, your fears, your anxiety, your frustration, your fatigue. It all begins with the decision you make first thing in the morning. I believe that. And the reason why I'm being overly dramatic about this is because one of my biggest problems in life is that I avoided the hard stuff. I had a million reasons why I couldn't fix things or get a new job or pay off my bills or why I couldn't make things better or why my husband was to blame. And so if you're sick of your excuses, if you're sick of snoozing on your dreams, if you are sick and tired of letting procrastination and doubt and overthinking and anxiety run your life, let's talk about your fucking morning routine. Because let me tell you what the life of a chronic snooze button person looks like. It begins in the morning. You hit the snooze button 4 or 5 times. That was me. I'd stare at the ceiling, think about my problem, snooze, snooze, snooze. And the rest of the day, guess what else I was doing? Snooze, snooze, snooze on the problems. Avoiding the phone call I needed to make. That's hitting the snooze button on that. Avoiding the networking I needed to do. That's hitting the snooze button there. Avoiding the hard conversation I needed to have. That's hitting the snooze button there. Blowing off the gym. Another snooze button. It's not just about how you wake up. It's how you wake up, how you set up the day. That's how it ends up. The snooze button, that is just one example of the series of disastrous choices I would make for myself. Whether it was hitting the snooze button 5 or 6 times, waking up late, not giving myself enough time, skipping breakfast, never having time to exercise, never being organized about anything. It was just honestly a nightmare. And I always say you are one decision away from a different life. And one of the things that has changed my life is deciding that I didn't want to do that anymore. That hitting the snooze button every single morning was not going to help me change my life. So when I finally got serious about first getting out of bed, and then secondly, creating a small series of promises that I make and keep to myself every single morning. it was a game changer.
I have a question. Are you frustrated because you haven't made it yet? Be honest. You start to think, I'm never gonna find the time to make it happen. You'll never be talented enough. You could never be that funny, smart, or innovative, right? The truth is, 1 million likes online doesn't mean anything until you like yourself. $1 million in the bank ain't worth nothing if you've got no self-worth. So before you give up, you have to understand the only thing that matters is the work that you're putting in, not the end result. And if your social media feeds are bringing you down, just remember, you're only seeing the end game. Anyone who is truly successful did one thing, and it's the same thing that we all do. They put in the work. And that work is what you don't see online. Every single day you make choices. You choose to drive or you choose to slide into the passenger seat of life. Which is it gonna be? The thoughts you allow yourself to spend time on determine if you get what you want, because your dreams matter, but you're the one who's gonna have to make them happen. I mean, look at this post from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton. This was 3 years before Hamilton hit Broadway, and he was ready to give up. Ed Sheeran, he was working on his dreams way before he was a Grammy Award-winning artist. Are you working? If you're not working, are you waiting for permission? Stop. You don't need permission. You just need to push yourself, to take that first step, and then to keep going. Will you fail along the way? Of course. And you know what? I hope so. And here's why. A study of entrepreneurs found that when you fail once, you double your chances of success. Failure doesn't make you give up. Failure happens when you give up. Those of you who succeed are the ones who get back up over and over and over again. Wait, what did you say? You're afraid of judgment? Of people criticizing you? Welcome to the Success Club. You don't belong if you don't have haters. Lady Gaga had so many people who doubted her that they formed online groups around the topic of her failure. It's a great sign when you have critics because it's life testing. How bad do you want it? Instead of thinking game over, how about thinking game on? Don't wait to feel ready because that's not gonna happen. The bottom line, it's keep going, because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to do the work for you. No one is coming to walk over and turn off Netflix. No one is coming to tell you to get out the door and go on a run. No one is coming to tell you to pick up the phone and make the phone call. It's up to you, and it's always going to be up to you. And whether you succeed or whether or not you fail is up to you. Your dreams, they don't expire. And that's why every single day you got to wake up and you got to renew your commitment to that dream by trying one more time every single day. The question is, how do you deal with the anxiety that comes from waking up and being on a roll and realizing that when you're making things happen, it's easy to look back and realize how much of your life you wasted. And that makes you present to how potentially little time you have left and how much there is to do in the little time that you have. I can so relate to this. The few things I want to say about this is that I don't think that our experience of feeling anxiety about getting it all done before your life is over, or getting it all done in the time that you have, I don't think it's unique. I think that that is something that starts to happen when you feel like your life is on a roll and you're not present to misery, but you're actually present to power and joy and all the cool possible things that you could do. Does the anxiety, or how do you make the anxiety go away? I don't think you can. I think that that is a very normal thing to feel when you're a big thinker and you become present to the fact that when you put in the work and when you focus, you really are capable of creating just about whatever you want in your life. And that's both empowering and daunting and terrifying as hell. And so you can't get away from that anxiety, but you can respond to the trigger. I often feel what you're talking about when I'm on an airplane. And maybe it's because I feel very vulnerable and out of control when I get on a plane and I click the buckle and I realize this puppy could go down. And then I think about, okay, I spent 49 years here. There's so much more I wanted to do. So I can relate to this. So there's two things to this. One is being present to time passing and the fact that we're all gonna die and that your life is a gift. When you get present to that, that's the biggest motivator on the planet. And when you feel one of those moments, what I do is I shrink it down and I try to find something in this moment that I'm incredibly grateful for, so that if it were to end right now, then all would be well. I think about the sunset I'm looking at. I find a picture of my kids and my husband. I think about, the lives that have been touched by the 5-second rule. And that gratitude in the moment allows my mind to not go psycho thinking about the big vastness around life and those big topics. So that calms me down immediately. That's number one. Number two, I think a slightly different question than, it's probably anxiety, but I think it has more to do with momentum and how when you start to get unstuck and you start to see things happening, you'll notice that things feel like they start moving faster, as if you are on a treadmill and somebody has secretly come up and turned it up on you. And there are days where we're moving through our day, like this morning was one of them. We're getting ready for this live training, and all of a sudden I caught myself almost about ready to hyperventilate because I wasn't present to this. I was present to what happens when we have 1,000 people show up and where are we gonna hold, you kind of speed it up on yourself. So when that happens, I know that I'm in the future, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I need to be right here and right now. And that when you start having big things happen and when you start feeling unstuck and when things start moving, the momentum, because an object in motion tends to stay in motion, your anxiety will make it roll faster. That will not make you effective. You have to slow it down immediately. Just in the case of getting overwhelmed by the big themes in life, when you start to feel like things are going too fast, oh my God, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time. No, yes, you do. Slow it down, okay? I'm always looking for new ways to explain the power of the 5-second rule and the power of 5-second decisions. And I read something that Tim Ferriss said that really resonated with me. And he had this one line buried in a podcast somewhere that just jumped out, and it's stuck. And what he said is, he said something about how there's a gap between the world and the things that trigger you and your response. And your entire life is that gap. When you start to, this is not what he said, he kind of identified this gap, and I, of course, intrinsically was like, well, absolutely, that's the 5-second window between instinct or stimulus and your reaction. And when you start to understand that your whole life plays out in this 5-second gap, and that there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between fear and courage, and there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between self-doubt and confidence, that is your life. And what's super cool about understanding that your whole life is inside this gap is it's so small, everybody, that you have the ability to control it. Life's always gonna throw triggers at you, and there will always be all kinds of cool things that inspire you, your wisdom, and you get to choose what happens in that gap. Do you succumb to an excuse, or do you push yourself forward? When you start to speak up in business, you'll be shocked at how you start to speak up in your relationships. When you start to make hard phone calls, whether it's in a selling situation, you'll be surprised at how you'll start to close the gap and have hard conversations in your personal life. And so that gap is everywhere, and it's the same everywhere. And when you start to go to work in controlling how you live in that gap between stimulus or idea and your response, that's where the magic is. And that's what you're experiencing. I had something happen yesterday. It's something that I'm not proud of. It's something that I felt really bad when it happened. I had a crazy, overwhelming day. Everything was coming at me from a million different directions. I was being pulled in a million different directions. Chris and my daughter was home from college, and she's sorting out her summer plans, and she was getting extremely stressed out. Meanwhile, I've got a million emails. And so that's how I felt yesterday. And all of a sudden, I looked at my phone and I realized, oh my God, I was supposed to pick up our son almost an hour ago from school. My heart sank. I mean, who forgets their kid? I did. I just
I lost track of time. And so I immediately started texting our son. He wasn't responding. I called the school. He calls me. I said, dude, I'm really, really sorry. I was doing something with Sawyer and I'm running really late. Where are you? Well, I'm about 10 minutes away. No problem. I'll meet you in the front of the school. And he got into the car and I burst into tears. He's like, what's wrong? And I said, I just feel like I failed you today. And I just feel like I am not the perfect mom that I should be. That's the words that fell out of my mouth. And he looked at me and he goes, Mom, if you had been on time, you would be one of those perfect moms that are all over their kids, that are up in their business, that never do anything wrong. And I don't want a perfect mom. I want my mom. Oh my God, I'm getting really upset. And then of course I started crying more. And I was like, that is the most beautiful thing that you've ever said to me. Because it's true. The world doesn't need another perfect person. The world needs you. And you're trying your best. You're doing what you can. And, I think it's really important that you cut yourself a break and that you stop thinking that you have to be perfect. There are going to be days where you're an hour late to pick up your kid. There are going to be days when you can't get to every email, and that's okay. There are going to be days where you feel so underwater, and that's okay. You'll get through it. You'll figure it out. And you've got to understand that it's not about being perfect. It's about just being you. And that means that you got to be willing to start before you're ready. You got to be willing to do what I do every damn day, which is show up in my rollers or start a live stream and disconnect myself or start it and be talking and not even know that I'm broadcasting. You've got to do that version in your life or you're not going to get ahead, period. One of the things that I've learned in my business is that the mistakes are where all the learning is. And actually, the mistakes and the imperfect stuff, that's where the gold is, everybody. And so as you're sitting there and you're thinking about doing stuff and you're trying to make it perfect and you're trying to come up with the right script before you make that cold call, or you're trying to make sure your body looks perfect before you put yourself out there on Match, you are missing out on your life, period. And so I hope that if there's one thing that I consistently inspire you to do, it's to start before you're ready.
Has anyone ever broken up with you and said, you deserve someone better? When you first hear those 4 words come out of your ex's mouth, it's like a slap across the face. You want to scream, wait, what do you mean I deserve someone better? I don't want someone better. I want you, I want this, I want us. You deserve someone better? What the hell? How can I deserve someone better when you're the best thing that's ever happened to me and now you're dumping me? It makes no sense when you hear it. Actually, if you take the time to understand it, it makes a lot of sense. You deserve someone better. It's actually one of the most honest and accurate statements an ex can say, and you need to understand it and take it seriously. Because when someone tells you you deserve better, what they're saying is they don't care enough about you to do the work to be better to you. Your ex is admitting to you that they know they have to change how they treat you, but they don't want to. Why? I have no idea. Maybe they're afraid of being vulnerable. Maybe they don't want to do the work, or maybe they're not ready for a committed relationship, or maybe they're just a narcissist who's incapable of loving anybody. The reason your ex doesn't want to change doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you move on. It feels so hard right now to move on because you're stuck in your head wondering, well, did they ever love me? Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they still think about you all the time. Maybe they're going to wake up a year from now and regret breaking up with you. The truth is, it doesn't matter what they felt or what they think, because the only thing that matters when it comes to love is what someone does about those feelings. And when your ex says, you deserve better than me, they are saying, I don't plan to do anything about the feelings I have for you. I know, it's hard right now, and it might not make sense. I don't want you to feel stupid for allowing yourself to open up. Feeling love, believing in love, being vulnerable, opening yourself up to love. These are some of the most amazing experiences in life, so don't shut down love just because your ex shut you out. Love didn't hurt you. Someone who wasn't capable of loving you did. And do not mix up your ex with the power of real love. If anything, they just taught you that that relationship isn't real love. And that's why you need to move on right now. The faster you close this door emotionally, the sooner a new one's gonna open. Your ex told you the truth, and you gotta believe it. You do deserve better. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How can I close the door when I have so many unanswered questions? Did they find someone else? Did they cheat? What could I have done to stop this from happening? Why did they do this to me? And why am I always getting hurt? Well, here's another truth. The answer to those questions, they don't matter, because you have all the information you need to choose to move on. You know your ex isn't capable of being the person you deserve. And when you love somebody more than they deserve, you'll get hurt more than you deserve. You got to stop falling for people that require you to twist yourself into someone you're not. And you need to learn to fall in love with the sound of walking away from someone who's not right for you. So how do you walk away? Well, first you got to forget your ex by remembering the lesson. When did you start to lose yourself in this relationship? When did you start to give more than they were giving you? What were the signs that you ignored that this wasn't right? How do I know there were signs? Because there are always signs. And when you find the signs, you're going to find the lesson and your pain will disappear. That's why I'm not worried about you. As time goes on, that pit that's in your stomach, it's going to start to go away. And the things that remind you of your ex, they're going to no longer carry any meaning. And you're going to grow from this situation. Take this lesson with you. The second you start to feel like someone's option B, the relationship can no longer be your priority, and you need to walk away. If you accept this relationship as a lesson that you do deserve better, you will set yourself free. Your ex was right. You may have wanted this relationship to work, but they didn't, and you deserve better. Growing stronger always feels a little like breaking at first, but better days and someone better are ahead. Believe it. You yourself had an experience where when you ranked how you felt about 2018 or when you ranked your aspirations for 2019, you were a little bummed because everything was super low, and it made you go from feeling excited about doing a mindset reset to feeling really negative about it. First of all, it's incredibly normal when you stop and pause and assess how you feel about your own life and the state of it. It's incredibly normal for you to rank it low, because most of us walk around with a very negative viewpoint about our own lives. That's number one. And that's a mindset and a perspective that we are going to change. Number two, one of the things that has helped me a lot when I get into moments in my life where I get present to disappointment, where I feel very sad, where I start to beat myself up over where I'm at in my life versus where I thought I would be. Specifically, what comes to mind is when I was facing bankruptcy and I was 40 years old and we, had 3 kids, and I thought I should be in a different place in my life. And thinking and judging my current state against where I thought I would be, it made me sink even lower. And so what you're experiencing is very normal. The fastest way to stop beating yourself up, the fastest way to stop feeling regret over where you're at in your life right now, is to literally say to yourself, I did the best I could. I did the best I could. Because guess what? If you could have done more, you would have. And so if you literally just accept where you are, you're not feeling connected, you're not where you wanted to be, you're disappointed with how your life has turned out up until this moment, that's okay. But the first thing that you need to do to free yourself of that negativity is to say, hey, if I was capable of doing more, I would have. I remember there was a moment in time where, this is a really stupid example, but there was a moment in time where a lot of our friends started buying bigger houses or joining private clubs, or they were able to take their families on very expensive vacations. And that was just something that was not a possibility for me and Chris at the time. And I remember spending years beating myself up, years comparing myself to the people that had nicer clothes, nicer cars, nicer watches, nicer vacations. And it wasn't until I said to myself, well,
If I could have afforded those things, I would have bought them, maybe. If I could have afforded to join the club, I might have. I couldn't afford to do it. And there's a massive amount of freedom that comes when you just stop beating yourself up and you acknowledge that if you could have changed it sooner, you would have. But here's what's cool. Once you say that, now you can change it now. And that's what this program's about. So cool to feel the sadness, okay and normal to feel the disappointment. And then say to yourself, hey, I am where I am. If I could have done more, I would have. And now it's time to move on, because guess what? You can do more. You've signed up for this program. You're taking your life and the things that you want to change about it very seriously. And the skills that we're going to teach you are going to help you. They're going to help you free yourself from the mental jail. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you spend the next year, which many of you were going to, you were going to spend the next year telling yourself, my life sucks. I should have done something sooner. You are going to spiral in your own head as you beat yourself up over and over and over again. And that's got to stop. The reason why you haven't changed your life to date, you want to know why? It's because your mindset has blown. It's because you live up here. You don't live out in the world, you live up here. And up until this moment, up here has been a very negative place. And I guarantee you, if you were to put your own thoughts in someone else's mind, you know what you would say to me? Well, there's no way in hell Mary would lose that weight if she thought the things that I thought, because I'm constantly saying to myself, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not capable, I should have done it last year, why didn't I do this sooner? The more you think like that, the more stuck you're going to stay. And so that's why it's critical to acknowledge that the reason why you haven't changed sooner and the reason why your life is in the state that it's in is because of how you think. How you think is stopping you from taking action. You're convinced that you're not good enough. You're convinced that it's too late. You're convinced that other people are going to judge you. And I'm here to tell you it's total baloney. So today, we are building on the critical connection between having a positive, deliberate, healthy mindset and how you start the day and what your morning routine is. By way of recap, we've already covered why the number one thing about your morning routine is that the night before you plug your phone in outside of your bedroom, you can leave the ringer on, turn notifications off. If somebody needs to reach you, they can call you, but otherwise you're going to bed. That's number one. Number two, the second the alarm rings, you are to wake up. No hitting the snooze button. Yesterday, I explained in great detail the scientific reason why you do not want to hit the snooze button. And the fact that based on research, it is medically proven that when you hit the snooze button and doze off to sleep, you put your brain in a state of sleep inertia, which impacts your ability to focus, your ability to be positive, your ability to process information for up to 4 hours. That is why it is critical. And step 2 of your morning routine is when that alarm rings, you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, use the 5-second rule and get out of bed. Now, number 3, that's what we're talking about today. The third piece of your morning routine is that for the first 10 to 30 minutes of the day, that time is reserved for your dreams. That time is reserved for you. That time is time that you need to protect. You are not to pick up your phone. Do not turn on the television. Do not turn on the radio. No outside world input. All I want you to do for the first 10 to 30 minutes of the day is I want you to give those 10 to 30 minutes to your dreams. I think your dreams deserve 10 minutes, don't you? And you're not going to give them 10 minutes if the first thing that you do is pick up your phone. It's just not going to happen. Your attention is under siege all day long. All day long, the world is trying to sell you something, or they're trying to serve up something that's salacious or tempting or curiosity provoking in order to get your limbic system, which is the interior part of your brain, the fight or flight, the part of your brain that's triggered by emotion and fear. They're trying to trick you to pay attention to things that just don't matter to your dreams, to your day-to-day life, to your family. And that is why it is critical critical, critical, critical that the first 10 minutes are reserved for you and your dreams. Now, you may be asking, what is it that you should be doing in those 10 to 30 minutes? I'm so glad you asked because I have a gift to give you today. I have developed a journaling method. I'm not selling you anything. Don't worry. I'm actually giving you something for free. I've developed a journaling method that I worked on for the last 3 years. I've taught it to thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world, whether I'm teaching it from a stage or whether I've incorporated it into other courses or the other training videos that we've done online. This is a journaling method that I use. It takes less than 5 minutes. It's backed by science. And what I'm going to do for the rest of the week is I'm going to walk you step by step through the various prompts that I use in the first 10 minutes of my day to anchor my mood on something positive, to focus on the one thing that matters to me today, to practice gratitude, and to draw boundaries between the things that I need to do and when I need to cut off access to work and when I need to stop working so that I can have a little bit of focus time with my family or with myself for self-care, taking care of myself, whatever. The gift that I'm giving you is in the email that's going out today. We are going to give you a link to the PDF of the 5-second journal. You're going to get the page that I fill out every single morning for free. You can look at it on your phone. You can print it out if you want. You can use it. If you want it, you can of course go to Amazon, but that's not the point of giving it to you. I'm doing these live trainings and I'm teeing up this information because it is so important for you to get deliberate about what you're doing in order to improve your life. And so I want to share with you what I do every morning. I'm going to share with you the science behind it and why I do it and the results that it has created in my life. And I'm going to give you a free template to use so that you can try it out too, so that you can think and be more deliberate about what you're doing. That's the entire point of this, because the morning routine's only going to work if you make it yours. If you are a shift worker and your morning routine begins at midnight, all of these same principles apply. You need to make them work for you, otherwise you're not going to do it. And I'm the kind of person that if something sounds too good to be true, I tend to just sort of get like cynical about things and go, I'm not trying that, that's a gimmick. If I understand the science behind it, which is why I explain the science behind why you should never hit the snooze alarm when you need to get up and get going. When I understand the science and the reason and the research behind something, I am convinced to try it. And when I see results in my own life, then I keep doing it. And so again, today the training is very simple. You're going to continue being deliberate about building a morning routine. Tonight, plug the phone in outside your bedroom. Tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off, you are going to wake up as soon as that alarm gets off. You're welcome to hate me for that. That's fine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. If you're using your phone for the alarm, walk across the room, turn off the alarm. Do not pick up your phone. Do not. Go to a different part of the room. Go to the kitchen. Go to the bathroom. Go to your office. Go somewhere else. Crack open your notebook. The first 10 to 30 minutes are for you. If you've got kids that get up really early, wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do. So you've got that quiet time in the house for you. In the email that goes out later today, I'm going to put in the email the link to the PDF of the 5-second journal template. You can also get that at 5secondjournal.com. If for some reason you're not on the email list, get to melrobbins.com/mindset reset so we can get these things to you. And in tomorrow's post, we'll be sure to upload a link to the PDF so that you can reach it as well. I want to answer a few questions. Tomorrow, I'm going to break down the journaling method, which is why I want you to have it in front of you tomorrow morning when you wake up so you can try it so that the training goes along with it. I also want to preview something. Many of you have been asking about whether or not we're going to get into anxiety. You better believe it. Now that our trainings have covered the default network in your brain, how to become a deliberate thinker, thinking this, not that, learning how to spot your limiting beliefs and switching gears and choosing what you think about. We're now in the middle of building a habit in the morning that's going to help support you be a deliberate thinker and will also give you control first thing in the morning so that you are in control of what you're thinking about. You've planned your day, you've pushed your dreams forward. That's going to start you out in a totally different way. Then we're going to get into topics like anxiety, depression, how to talk to your kids about anxiety. These are issues and mental health challenges that you face when your limiting beliefs, your worries, and your stress become not only your default, but they start to spin out of control and become the constant way that you think, not just the default that gets triggered. So we're going to be covering all of that in the coming weeks. This is game-changing stuff, but we got to start with the foundational stuff first. Default versus deliberate thinking, thinking this, not that, spotting your limiting beliefs and realizing it's a habit the way that you think that way. It's not the truth. And now building a morning routine so that the way that you wake up, how you wake up, and how you spend those first couple minutes of the day support your mindset changing and give you control through the rest of the day. Before I preview what we're going to talk about tomorrow, let me jump into some of the questions that we've gotten. If you've got questions, just put them right down there. Tell me, did you take the phone challenge? Did you take the snooze alarm challenge? Did you hate it? What did you notice? Share with us what's going on, because by you sharing your story, you're going to be inspiring other people as well. Even if you failed, so what? You're trying something new. Failing is just as good as succeeding at something because you're learning something. And guess what? Tomorrow morning when that alarm rings, you get to go for it again. So shout out to Edith Shaw on Facebook. I wasn't sure if I could actually go to sleep knowing my phone was in another room, but I did. I turned it to silent and went to sleep. It was weird to say the least, and I did find myself reaching for it in the middle of the night only to find it wasn't there. Did you do that too? I know, it's a really crazy habit to break because you don't realize how addicted you are. But here's the good news. This is what Edith noticed. I really noticed the difference. I had space in my mind to think about my day. I visualized for a few moments. I thought about how my day will unfold. I wrote in my planner, and all felt a lot more peaceful and calm. Deirdre, she accepted the challenge last night, which actually had her get out of bed to cut off the phone alarm. Then she put the phone back down until I was ready to check the news. I was so much more productive and awake before leaving my house to get to the gym. I will do this every day now. I am hammering this stuff because it works. Here's a few more. Amy Robbins on Facebook. You mentioned if you wake up before the alarm, you need to get up. I often wake up early but don't want to get up yet. Am I out of luck and just need to get out of bed? Amy, look, you got to make this work for you. So if you wake up before the alarm and you have a meditation practice where you lie in your bed and you meditate, and it works for you, do it. Then get up. What I don't want you to do, Amy, is drift back to sleep, because drifting back to sleep causes your brain to go into another sleep cycle, which lasts 75 to 90 minutes. And if you wake up before the 75 to 90 minutes, you've put your brain in a state of sleep inertia, and that's going to impact your productivity for the next 4 hours and your focus for the next 4 hours. That's why I don't want you drifting back to sleep. I could never lie in bed. I'm not that kind of person because I will fall back asleep. I hate getting up. But if it works for you as part of your mindfulness routine, your morning practice, to wake up before the alarm, have a mindfulness practice, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up, don't look at your phone, take the first 10 to 30 minutes for yourself, fantastic, go for it. Make it your own. That way you'll actually do it. Jane Harmon McFarland on Facebook. I start work at 6 a.m. every day and the alarm is set for 5:50. Do you just suggest that I wake up earlier, or can I do dream goal time before bed? I really want you to do it when you wake up. I would wake up earlier, Jane. I would wake up at 5:30, and here's why. The reason why is when you wake up, you got a clean slate. What I would love for you to deliberately put into your prefrontal cortex, the executive center of your brain, is I would like you to deliberately put how you want your day to go, what's the one thing that matters to you, and one thing that you can do to advance your dreams. Why? If you go back to some of the earlier trainings when we talk about the 2 modes of the brain and the fact that we all have a default mode network that acts like a filtering system in our minds. Part of the reason why I want you to wake up
and engage the executive center of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, and be deliberate about what you're thinking, is that by doing that, we are reprogramming your default network. We are telling the default network in your brain, the fabric and filter system in your brain, what you care about and what we want help spotting opportunities around. You know how there are moments in your life where you feel like you're in a state of flow and you notice these magical coincidences and you spot all kinds of interesting connections and things just seem to happen. Part of the reason why that happens, or the law of attraction works, is because by getting deliberate about what you're thinking about and about what you care about, you are priming your mind to be programmed to see connections and opportunities. Visualization, the law of attraction, it's not just some woo-woo garbage. There's hard science that explains why it works, and it has to do with your default mode in your brain, and how when you get deliberate and you engage the executive center in your brain, your prefrontal cortex, you train your brain to help you spot opportunities. Finally, last question, Mikey on Instagram. Why do I feel so guilty for carving out personal time? It's been hard for me since becoming a parent. I'll tell you why, Mikey. I bet it has to do with your limiting belief. I bet it has to do with that negative thing that you default to, whether you think you're not worthy or you think you're not good enough, that somewhere deep down inside, by taking time out for yourself, you are saying to yourself, well, I don't deserve to do that. And the only way that you're going to start to carve out personal time is if you go to war against that limiting belief and you create a new one. And the new one around personal time is, I will be a better parent, a better father, a better husband if I take time and go to the gym. I will be a better parent, a better person, a better husband if I take time to work on my dreams. And by the way, you want your kids to know how to take care of themselves, right? Well, the only way they're going to learn it is if you model it. So if you can't do it for yourself, use modeling, having healthy boundaries and healthy habits as an individual, modeling it for your kids as your motivation. All right, I got to hop because there are 1,500 people in a ballroom downstairs that I need to give a speech to. But tomorrow we are going to add on to this mindset training and the connection with your morning routine, and we're going to get personal. You're going to have a copy of my method and the journaling that I do every morning to prime my mind based on science. I'm going to walk you through step by step each one of the steps. I want you to try them. I want you to tweak them and make them your own. And I want you to continue to fight for that 10 to 30 minutes every morning. Here's the recap on your homework. Tonight, you're going to plug in your phone. Outside of your bedroom, you're going to go to bed. When the alarm rings, you're going to get up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no snooze. You're going to turn off the alarm if it's on your phone. And tomorrow morning, you're going to take 10 to 30 minutes, all for you. You can meditate. You can plan your day. You can print out the PDF we're going to mail you in a little bit. That's the journaling page from the 5-second journal, my journaling method. You can fill that out and see how that feels. But you're going to practice grabbing your attention and being deliberate and setting your day up to go in the direction you want it to go in. And something's going to surprise you when you do that. You're going to be training your mind to help you make your day go in the direction that you want it to go. And you're going to start noticing all kinds of connections and magical things that happen. I know it sounds really weird, but it's true. This is the beauty of what happens when you get deliberate about what you want to see in the world. You get deliberate about what you want to say to yourself. And as always, continue to spot those limiting beliefs when they rise up today. And the second you see yourself saying, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, why did I say something so stupid? Now's not a good time. I better not say what I really feel. You're going to interrupt that old default and you're going to insert something that's positive, because that is the work of doing a mindset reset. It's not a one and done. It's something you do all day long because you are fighting against a lifetime of limiting beliefs. All right. What else was I going to say? In case nobody else tells you today, I want to be the one to tell you that I love you. And I believe in your ability to make your life better. I believe in your ability to be happier. I believe in your ability to pursue your dreams. And that's why I'm here every day, to remind you of that fact and that you got this. Today
is my favorite day of the program. It's Unfollow Friday. You heard that right, Unfollow Friday. Why is today Unfollow Friday? Well, the reason why today is Unfollow Friday is because one of the most toxic things that you are doing every single day for your mindset is you are following people, brands, meme accounts, celebrities, supermodels, people that have 18-pack abs, and you are doing it in the beginning for inspiration and for voyeurism and for entertainment. And now you've gotten to a point where stalking those people, looking at their perfectly manicured lives online, it's starting to weigh on you. It's making you feel like you're losing some imaginary race. It's making you jealous. It's making you insecure. It's making you have FOMO. It's making you feel like you're behind. It's giving you all kinds of visual evidence that is impacting you negatively. And that's why I love Unfollow Friday. Your social media channels are supposed to be for you. Think about it for a second. The channels that you create for yourself on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, those are for you, by you, and they should support you. And what that means is they are serving a purpose, in my opinion. And that purpose is they should be accounts that empower you, that inspire you, that entertain you, that educate you, that make you a better person. You see, if you stop and think about it for a minute, yes, if you look at your average Facebook page, there's advertisements plastered all around. But the things that are in your feed are of your choosing, unless Facebook had planted them there because it's a sponsored post. And so I want you to take your attention seriously. And just like I hammer the idea that you must do a morning routine, that it is critical for your mindset. And what videos do we cover for the morning routine, Danielle?
The morning routine.
And if you haven't done the morning routine yet, those are videos.
They are videos 9 through 11.
Videos 9 through 11, we cover the morning routine. And we cover why, from a scientific and a research-backed standpoint, getting control of what you're thinking about first thing in the morning is critical to you not only resetting your mindset, but you setting yourself up to have a positive, focused mind all day long, non-negotiable. If this is the first video in the Mindset Reset series that you're watching, welcome. This is a month-long free program, and in order to get on the list, just go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. This is not a funnel program where I'm going to try to sell you a mastermind group or an online course. This is just my gift to you to help you learn the tools, the research, the simple things that you can do in order to reset the way that you think. Because if you change how you think, you will change your life. And so one of the things I want you to change how you think is I want you to change how you think about social media. Social media is for you. And that's why it's super important. I do it every week. Every single Friday for me is Unfollow Friday. Based on where you are at this moment in your life, based on your dreams, based on your values, based on your goals, I want you to take a look at who you're following online and whether or not that account makes you feel good, whether it makes you feel powerful, whether or not it makes you feel like you are going to be the best you, whether it makes you smarter, healthier, and happier. If it doesn't do one of those things, get rid of it. If you are still checking in on and following an ex, and every time you look at one of their posts, it's like, unfollow and block. I had an interesting conversation with our now 18-year-old daughter, and this was 2 years ago that she left Instagram. And I thought it was an incredibly mature thing for her to say. I said, why are you leaving Instagram? And she said, I notice that when I look at it, I feel bad at myself because I follow all of these girls my age that are now bikini models, and I follow Fitspo accounts of all these people with perfect bodies who have time to work out, and puppy accounts. And other than the puppy accounts,
I constantly feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm lacking something. I feel like there's stuff I need to be doing that I can't get to, and I feel bad. And so I don't want to be on Instagram anymore. And then she also said, I feel pressure to put up things that make it look like my life is great. And so I thought it was really astute. She's been off it for 2 years. She has not missed it at all. Occasionally she will check it, but building on that idea, you're giving people access to your attention when you follow and fan them. And so today, take your attention back, take control of your mindset, and make your social media account work for you. Any account that doesn't inspire you, doesn't empower you, doesn't make you feel good about yourself, doesn't educate or entertain you, get rid of it. You know, there's also a really handy thing if you feel self-conscious about unfollowing toxic people in your life. You can mute them, which means you don't see them, but they don't know that you have put the big old mute button on their obnoxious posts. So that's another thing that you can do. But I want you to give me a thumbs up if you're going to commit to spending time today, tomorrow, Sunday. Monday is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the United States. It's a day off. I want you to give us the thumbs up if you're going to spend a little bit of time today, over the weekend, whenever you've got the time that works for you, to unfollow Friday and make your social media account work for you and work for your mindset. I wanted to talk to you about a mindset trick, okay? For those of you that don't know me, I struggled with anxiety for literally 30 years. And so do our 3 children. They've all struggled with anxiety at various moments. And my daughter used to have this word for it. It's called the what if loop. That when you get trapped in your mind, you start thinking about what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this goes wrong? What if I fail and somebody critiques me? What if this person judges me? What if that happens? What if they say this and I don't know what to say? What if my friends judge me? What if they think I'm weird? What if they think I'm silly? You can get trapped spinning what if thoughts all the time, okay? And so I want to give you a super simple trick that you can use to interrupt the what if loop. And it comes from both the research that I've done about having a high five attitude and empowering and encouraging yourself. And the reason why having a high five attitude is so important is because when you believe in yourself and your ability to face anything, when you believe in your ability through your attitude and your actions to have a positive impact on anything that you're dealing with in life, that's the secret to success. It doesn't remove the obstacles. It doesn't change the circumstances that you're dealing with. It changes you and your ability to face those circumstances and tap into the resilience and the courage and the confidence and the strength that is in you that is waiting to help you. That's what a high five attitude is. It's realistic optimism. Oh, gosh, okay, there's a gentleman walking in front of our car. Okay. So I was talking with Jenny, who's got her camera aimed at me. Jenny Maloney, if you need a phenomenal photographer. Hussein, who is my favorite person, sorry, Tev, to drive. And our COO and my fabulous sister-in-law, Christine. So we were sitting here talking. Jenny literally decided 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, about a month ago.
About a month ago, that where she was living was sucking her soul dry. Mm-hmm. She'd been thinking about it and thinking about it. How many of you have been thinking about, is this the right place for me to live? Should I move? Should I try somewhere new? Even if it's just like, I don't like this apartment or this neighborhood or my roommates. Have you experienced this? I have been experiencing this for 5 years. Every time I would take off and land in a new city, I would allow my mind to wander. Could I live here? Could I live here? Is it Austin, Texas? Is it San Diego? Is it Nashville? You know, is it Portland, Maine? I even considered Portland, Maine.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool. So she literally decided 4 weeks ago to honor that feeling inside of her. And the second that you started honoring that feeling, like, maybe I should move, even though my family lives here, even though people are going to be upset, maybe we need a change. When you feel depleted, when you feel like every morning you wake up and you don't want to high five your life, that's a signal. That means you got to dig deep and figure out what you really want. And you got to do some soul searching, and you got to find your strength and your courage to face and be honest with yourself about what's not working and make a change. So that's exactly what Jenny did. But when you start to get honest with yourself that you're not happy with your life, any aspect of it, you don't want to high-five that relationship, you don't want to high-five your friend group, you don't want to high-five where you live, you don't want to high-five that job, that's when the storm kicks in your mind. Because then you go, well, what if I'm wrong? And what if I don't have new friends? And what if it doesn't work? And what if this? And what if that? And what if the other thing? What if I don't sell my house? What if my kids don't like the new school? What are some other things that you had about it?
What if I don't find somewhere to live? What if my house doesn't sell? What if I'm making a big mistake?
Yeah,
You know,
what if I'm making a big mistake?
And I was terrified.
Terrified.
And I thought that was my gut trying to tell me something, but no, any big change is freaking terrifying.
Yes, terrifying. Just expect that, okay? So if you don't high-five your life right now, that's all the sign that you need to change. Then your mind is going to kick into what-if mode to keep you paralyzed where you are, because your mind does not want you to change. It thinks change is scary. This is where you're going to use this little high-five attitude flip, and I'm going to let Jenny tell it to you. What is the flip? Just tell them what that flip is. Instead of going, what if this is a mistake? What if this goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out? What do you say instead?
What if everything does work out?
What if everything works out?
I know it's so simple, but it's so profound.
What? Can you imagine if you went through life thinking, what if it works out for me? What if I make this big change and I actually love my new life? What if I start exercising and I love it? What if I decide to move and it all works out for me? What if I start this side business and it works out? Imagine placing a bet on yourself. That is how you have a high-five attitude. You place a bet on yourself, on your dreams, on what you want, and it can be as simple as swatting away that bullshit. What if it fails? What if it doesn't work? What if my friends judge me? What if I'm unhappy? Look, there are very few things that are, I know, I'm really red. It's because I'm sort of having a hot flash right now. I keep it very real. There's no filter that I can have. I'm 53 years old. This is the kind of that happens to me. But what if, all those what ifs, you don't know if they're true or not. Are they serving you? What if it doesn't work? What if that? What if the other thing? What if, ooh, scaredy cat, paralyzed? Do you like that? How about you flip it? How about you get a high-five attitude on? What if it all works out for me? What if it's hard in the beginning? And then a month from now, I look up and go, holy shit, this was the best decision I ever made. What if quitting your job is the scariest thing, but it all works out for you? What if ending that toxic relationship makes you feel scared and you dread being alone again? But what if 2 months from now, when you invest in building back a relationship with yourself, you can look in the mirror and you go, wow, it's all working out for me. That was exactly what needed to happen. What if the heartbreak that you're dealing with or the pain that you're dealing with, what if it's all just a dot on the map of your life connecting you to something amazing? What if it's preparing you for something? What if it all works out for you? You know, betting against yourself makes you feel miserable. Staying in situations that you don't want to high-five, that make you feel depleted, it's the reason why you're not happy and fulfilled. I want you to start putting a bet on you, on your intuition, on your happiness, on what your heart and soul are screaming at you to do. If you can't high-five every aspect of your life, I want you to stand in front of that mirror and start to get honest with yourself. I want you to get a piece of paper out and put a pen in your hand and start writing down what the do you want? What does a high-five life look like to you? And you know what's interesting about using the term a high-five life? You know exactly what that means. I don't even have to explain it. It's a life where every day, even on the hard days, you still want to wake up and high-five what's happening. You're still waking up surrounded by people and playing a game that's worth playing to you. It's personal to you. And I'm here to tell you, you start to develop the daily habits of encouraging yourself. What if it all works out? What if this is actually the best decision I've ever made? What if it's really difficult and going through this is going to make me a better version of myself? What if 6 months from now, after I make this change, I'm going to look in the mirror and it's not that you're not going to recognize yourself. You ready? You're actually going to recognize yourself. the you that's in there, the one that you're ignoring and criticizing. What if it all works out for you? That's my message for you today. I want you to take on that high five attitude. What if it all works out for you? I'm sitting here high-fiving you every step of the way because I believe that something amazing is happening in your life. I sense something extraordinary is about to happen for you. And when you start to leverage a high five attitude, what if it works out? What if this is the best decision I've ever made? A really difficult one. But what if this is the best decision I've ever made? You know, I love to say that you're one decision away from a different life. So make the decision away to swat away those negative thoughts and bring up that high five attitude. What if it all works out for me? Believe. Anchor down in hope and optimism and faith and in celebration of yourself and your ability to pivot your life anytime you choose. That's what's available to you. The second you decide to just get that negative shit out of your mind and adopt that high five attitude, because I do believe that I sense something incredible, extraordinary is going to happen for you. But first, you got to start to say, what if it works out for me? What if this is the best decision I've ever made? What if I place a bet on myself for a change? Wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be. Do it anyway is a mindset trick that you can use when you start to feel excuses rolling up. It works a lot like the 5-second rule. So you have said to yourself, okay, I'm going to talk to my boss today about that thing that I've been avoiding talking to them about. Or maybe you've said something like, I'm going to go to the gym today or tomorrow or whatever. And then the moment comes where you've got to have that conversation. Or the moment comes where it's time to pack up your bag and leave your desk and go to the gym. And what always happens? You don't feel like it. I bet there are plenty of you watching that have made a commitment that, I'm not going to have a drink tonight. And then guess what happens when you get home? You don't feel like not drinking. You feel like having a drink. And so here's what do it anyway has done for me. The idea that I just do it anyway has pushed me to realize and to recognize that there are a lot of moments where there are things in my life that I really want to do, I need to do, I should do, but when the moment comes, I don't feel like it. And so I pull out this idea of, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. It's raining outside. I said I would go for a short run. I don't feel like it. I'm going to do it anyway. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. It's cold. I laid out my yoga clothes, but now I don't feel like it. What do? I do it anyway. When you start to say to yourself, I'm going to do it anyway, what happens is something really cool. You acknowledge that there are feelings that you have that are trying to swoop in and hijack you. You acknowledge them and you basically say, guess what? I'm going to do it anyway. Oakley is chomping at the bit that that we asked this question. What is the question?
All right, so
is it on topic?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's from Ben S. Snack. How can I make a huge life decision such as a job change? Move to another state. I want the job, but I'm scared.
Oh, I love that. So the question is, great question, Oakley, and great question, Ben S. Snack. So how do you make a big decision, right? So it's a decision that sounds like he's going to accept a new job, but it requires him to move to another state. And notice what he said. I want it, but I'm afraid. This is the perfect question for right now because you would actually use do it anyway. You see, the thing about the way to make decisions, this is my decision-making tool. I don't think we haven't covered it yet in this, but for those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I have this decision-making tool. In fact, we talked about it in the journaling method. So you know in the journaling method, if you go back to videos 9, 10, and 11, and if you look at the journaling method that we talked to you about, and look, I want to tell you something. I'm not asking you to buy this. In fact, please don't buy the 5-second journal. We don't have any more in stock. They're sold out around the globe. We'll print more. Do not buy this. I'm not doing this training to ask you to buy anything. I'm showing you this because for those of you that don't have the journaling method in front of you, if you go to 5secondjournal.com, 5secondjournal.com, if you go to 5secondjournal.com, what you will find is a ton of free templates that will show you the journaling method for free. You don't ever have to buy that. I'm telling you not to buy it. I want to be very clear. The reason why we're doing these trainings is not to get you to buy something, okay? It's to help you learn how to reset your mind. So back to the question. The opening thing in the journal, do I have one that's open here? Because then I can, well, I'll just open this one. The opening thing in the journal is a fuel gauge that has you tune in, and this is going to get to decision making, that has you tune in to how you're feeling energy-wise every morning. And so let me show you what that looks like in case you haven't seen those videos yet. So you see this little fuel gauge right here. Oh, can you see it on Instagram, Oak? Am I holding it up?
Yeah, just like not that one. Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
You can see it really
there you go. So that fuel gauge is a visual cue to have you tune into your energy and to assess whether or not you are depleted and empty about something and heavy, or the other extreme is energized, full, expanded, open to possibility. And the reason why I ask you to do that first thing in the morning to assess your mood, to assess your energy, to tune in, is because there's established research that says that your mood in your morning impacts your productivity and focus all day long. And so if you can boost your mood in the morning, it has a material impact on your focus and on your productivity all day. And so we use it in the morning in the journaling method that I've taught you in videos 9 through 11. But when it comes to decisions, I want you to do the exact same thing. I get that you're scared. It's a change. I would be kind of surprised if you weren't a little nervous about doing something awesome, like moving to a new state and starting a new job and all the possibilities that come in with it. So if you're trying to make a decision, do I do this thing that's scary or not? What you do is tune inward and really assess, how do you feel about it? When you think about yourself living in this new place and having this new job and all the possibility and growth that comes with it, do you feel dead and depleted and stuck? Or do you feel energized and alive and full of possibility? You see, if the decision is something that will expand your future, that will create possibility, that will make you grow, then it is 1,000% something that you must do. And you must do it even though you're afraid. And the fear is a very normal thing. And the fear is there because you're about to do something new. But do not use the fear to talk yourself out of making a decision that actually is grounded in growth and possibility and energizing you. So that's how I make decisions using the stuff that you're learning in the Mindset Reset. And again, you can go back to the journaling method on videos 9, 10, and 11. But if you have a big decision to make and you notice that you're afraid or you notice that you're stuck up here, go in and ask yourself, does the decision deplete me, make me stuck, make me feel dead, make me feel heavy? Or does the decision, even though it scares me, even though it's hard, is there something about it that expands possibility and opens up my life and will give me an opportunity to grow? If you're in this camp, the answer is heck yes. If you're in the dead camp and the hell no, heck no, okay? All right, cool. Let me give you a shout out real quick, because the do it anyway thing, I do it every morning. Because here's the deal about me, you guys. I hate exercising. I hate it.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I hate it. But I should say it this way. I hate going. I hate getting dressed for it. I hate driving there. But I love how I feel when I've done it. I love it. And so do it anyway has helped me get through the front resistance, the part that I hate. And it helps me get there. And once I'm there, I absolutely don't necessarily love the exercise, but when I'm done, I love how I feel. And so that's how I use do it anyway, okay? every day I use Do It Anyway, because it works so powerfully for me to push my excuses aside and to actually take care of my body, which is a very important thing in terms of my commitment, in terms of my desire to really enjoy my life fully. But I never, ever, ever, I'm never the kind of person that wakes up and goes, yeah, let's go exercise. I'm never the kind of person that is driving there going, I'm so excited to do this. I'm never the kind of person walking in that's even like, yes, I'm so glad I made it. I dread it usually all the way through it. Sometimes I half enjoy it while I'm there, but mostly I dread it. But by the time it's over, I frigging love the fact that I went, and that's why I do it. Worries, stress, or anxiety about money affects your life. And honestly, if you're watching this, you should put a thumbs up in the comments, because worries, stress, and anxiety about money, it impacts everybody's life. In fact, in a recent survey, I don't have it here in front of me, but in a recent survey, I read that I think it was done by Forbes, 87% of people that were asked said that they feel some level of stress about money worries. Now, I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with money worries, but I want to draw a line in the sand real quick about what kind of money worries I'm talking about and what kind I'm not. If you are in a situation right now that is acute, you have no money, you are unemployed, and you've run out of money. You work for the government and you haven't gotten your paycheck last week, and it doesn't look like you're getting one this week. And frankly, it's totally unacceptable that this is happening. And you're starting to panic because you are running out of money. And like most people, at least in the United States, you're one paycheck away from not being able to pay your bills. That was me 10 years ago. If that's you, you don't have money worries, you have a money problem. And the only thing that will solve the very real problem that you have is taking action and being super proactive, even though you're scared right now and you're frustrated right now, being super proactive to get the help that you need, to get the services that you need. If you need to go to a food pantry, do not let pride get in your way. One of the things that happens when people have money problems is that they are so confronted by the problem and the reality of the situation that they avoid dealing with it, because facing it head on and realizing that you got to call family members for help right now because it's that scary. You got to go to the daycare center and say, hey, you know I'm good for the money. I know you're a small business, but my God, until I get paid next, can you cut me some slack and let my daughter still go to school at daycare here so that I can show up at work at the airport or show up at the military? So, you need to face it head on if you have money problems. Okay? Got it? Good. Because that's the only way that money problems actually get fixed, is when you get proactive and instead of being scared and avoiding the situation, you hit it head on and you have those hard conversations with yourself and you start reaching out and asking for help. In this training, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the money anxiety that most of us struggle with. And that's the habit that you have, your default mode of thinking about money that stresses you out. You have a job, you're getting a paycheck, you're making the ends meet, and you worry about it all the time. You go into work and you want to ask for a raise, but you're so worried about your worth that you convince yourself you don't deserve the money, so you don't ask for it. That it's your mental relationship to money itself and how you feel about yourself and your own self-worth, and how that mindset impacts how you behave and how you think about money. That is what we're talking about in this training. And so there's a couple things that I want to call your attention to. Number one, and I will tell you what videos I want you to watch. Any thinking pattern that you have that doesn't serve you can be changed. And that's what you're learning in Mindset Reset. And if you have a negative thinking pattern about money that is a thinking pattern that you want to change. Because when you change how you think about money, whether or not you deserve it, whether or not if you work hard you'll make it, whether or not it's going to turn out for you, whether or not you're disciplined about what you spend your money on, and whether or not you save it. If you change how you think about money, you'll make a hell of a lot more of it. I'm going to tell you that right now. And so if there's an area of your life that you really want to take a deliberate look at, it's how does money trigger you to think? And how does your personal psychology and your default mindset trigger you to think about money and whether or not you deserve it? And whether, I know so many of you think, how many of you think I'm not good with money? I had that story for a long time. I'm just not good with money. And that default way of thinking, it's not surprising you're taking mindset reset. If you think you're not good about money, guess what? You won't be. If you think it, you will behave consistently with it. That's how this works, which is why we want to change how you think so that you change how you behave. So here's a couple things about your mindset related to money. It's like your mindset related to anything else. It's just that money is a huge trigger for most of us. There's two kinds of worries, and we've already covered this, and I'm going to refer you back to the video about this. You're going to go back to videos 13 and video 14 on this, okay? And so there's only two kinds of worries. Video 13, video 14. I want you to look at this. Two kinds of worries. There's productive worrying and there's destructive worrying. Too many of you worry about money and it is destructive. Your worries about money make you spend money that you don't have. Your worries about money talk you into doing things that are not smart with money. Your worries about money have you undervalue what you think you should be paid. Your worries about money keep you trapped in your head instead of doing things that will make you more money. And so we got to change this, because I guarantee you that the reason why you have a destructive habit of worrying about money has something to do with how you were trained to think about money or think about yourself from your past. So again, if you worry about money and it empowers you to make more of it and it's not making you unhealthy to worry about it, fantastic. That's a productive form of worrying, because worrying can be productive if it signals and triggers you to take action to fix a particular problem. Worrying is destructive if it makes you feel bad about yourself, if it makes you do things that are contrary to your goals, if it makes you stressed out. And I bet that you have the destructive kind of worrying. So now let's go a little bit deeper. What do you do if you've got a habit of having a destructive pattern of worrying about money, of thinking you're unworthy, of telling yourself you're not successful, of telling yourself you're not going to make it, of buying things that you can't afford, but you buy it as a way to validate yourself because you feel bad about yourself? What I want you to do is I want you to go back and repeat some of the exercises that we did in the very beginning of the program. So if you haven't signed up for Mindset Reset, no problem. There's no race. You haven't fallen behind. There's plenty of time. You can do this at your pace. All of the videos are available for free. They're all on our YouTube channel. They're all on our Facebook pages. And if you go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset, you will get an email from us that has amazingly helpful links that will give you the playlist of everything. It's like, boom, just like that. So go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. If you go to videos 1 through 8, you will see the foundational training that we did on the science of thinking, on your default mindset, on worrying, on all kinds of really important skills and science for you to understand. And it's super easy. And you really need to go watch this stuff. The second thing is that from video 13 on, we covered the morning routine from 9 until 11. That's it. No, we did a lot longer. 9 until video 12. We did a ton of stuff on the morning routine and on the journaling method that I use. You can revisit 9 through 12 if you want to check that out. But really, we started picking up on worrying and anxiety and the connection between those two things at video 13. So if money is something you worry about, you're going to look at video 13 and video 14. And I'm going to explain the assignments, but this is going to help you go back and identify why you are triggered by money. You see, something happened to you. And in video 14, we talk a lot about how you identify the triggers that cause you to do things that you want to stop doing. And I want to say something very quickly about triggers and about the work that you're doing. You are not fixing yourself, okay? When you do a mindset reset, you're not fixing yourself because you, my friend, are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be right now. You have all of the lessons from your life, from all the great things, all the failures, everything. You're exactly where you need to be right now in your life in order to get to the next level that you want to get to. We're not fixing you. We're fixing patterns from your past that no longer serve you right now and will not help you get to your future. So what we want to fix and change is we want to fix and change the patterns that get triggered by your past that aren't going to help you get to your future. And so if you look at video 13 and you look at video 14, I walk you through some exercises where you go through your day and you identify all the things that trigger you related to, and in this case, it's going to be money. So what I want you to do today or tomorrow, whenever you have time, is I want you to wake up after you do your morning routine, and I want you to go through your day and notice all day long what triggers you to worry or make yourself wrong or think about in a negative way money. What is it? Is it the price of coffee and telling yourself you shouldn't do it? Is it looking at your paycheck? Is it checking your bank balance? Is it looking at things catching yourself looking at things you can't afford? What is it that triggers you? Is it seeing other people in expensive clothing and making yourself wrong? What about money triggers you? And then you're going to ask yourself the question that I already taught you to ask in videos 13 and 14. And that question is, don't say what's wrong with me about money. Why can't I make money? Don't ask yourself those questions, which are basically like punching yourself in the face. Ask yourself this question. What happened to me to make me believe that I'm not worth making money? What happened to me that made me believe that I'm not smart enough to be successful? What happened to me that makes me believe that I need to buy something in order to feel good about myself? Because there is a connection between something that happened to you and the association that it triggered with money. And we got to get to that pattern because that's the pattern that we need to fix. And when you start to work on the pattern, so being deliberate about not buying stuff that you don't need and coming up with something else that you're going to do instead to make yourself feel good, being deliberate about making a plan to go ask for that raise or making a plan every day to work on your multi-level marketing business or your side hustle project so that every day, instead of having yourself be triggered by money and the lack of money and the fact that you haven't made a sale yet, that you're actually in action, making things happen so that you do make the money. This is how you change the patterns around money that are triggered by your negative belief system and triggered by your self-doubt. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.